بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramzan Sharif Mubarak to everyone. I'm Zainab Isaji. On behalf of team OCTARA, I welcome you all in today's Ramzan special session, Islamic Wisdom for Today with Abbas Husain. In today's session, Abbas Husain will discuss about Islam in alignment with modernity. Before starting the session, let me share with you the housekeeping rules of the session to keep the decorum smooth and healthy. All the attendees, I would request to keep themselves on listen-only mode. If there are any technical issues, log out and log back in. Session is being recorded and it's also being streamed on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/teamoctara. So if any of your friends who want to join it, they can join it from our Facebook page. Questions will be taken towards the end of the session in the chat panel. So you can share your questions over there. All the participants, they will be presented an ebook by Abbas Husain Sahab towards the end of the session. So please stay connected. And if you face any of the technical difficulties, like not listening to any, like not properly hearing of the session or anything else, you can contact our colleague, Sare Mati. He's available he's the co-host over here, and you can also email him. Now, please allow me to give you a brief introduction about the speaker, the scholar of the day, Abbas Husain Sahab. Abbas Husain, he's the director of Teachers Development Center since 1997. He has taught Islamic studies at Khan University with School of Nursing for 19 years. And he has conducted research in Islam and Quran for 35 years. He's an MA in English from Karachi University and MA TESOL from University of Manchester. He has received a lot of training professionals from University of Toronto, from Chicago, and everyone in from 1998 to 2009. He has trained 85,000 teachers from all over the Pakistan and in Muscat, Dubai, Kabul, and Dushanbe. Recently, he has received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Millennium Institute of Professional Development, Islamabad, for his dedicated work in teaching excellence. Now, please allow me to ask Abbas Saab to take the seat.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you very much, Zainab and JJ, for this honor. Right. Right. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
All right, fine. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you. Let's begin. Our topic is Islam in alignment with modernity, and I've made it an alignment with modernity. So it's actually an and in, both together. And this topic of ours today raises three questions. What do you mean by Islam? Okay, easy. How can Islam be in or out of alignment with anything else? And what is modernity? Isn't it change the most constant thing nowadays? So I will answer these questions in reverse order, which means I'm going to begin with this one first. What is modernity? And why should anything be in or out of alignment with it? And how do we define Islam? And because the third question is the real question, and I will be spending most time on it, but I will do it in this order and in this sequence. So, mashallah, welcome to all those who are here. In a sense, this is our agenda. This is our agenda, the three questions that are part of our title. Islam in alignment with modernity. Okay. By modernity, I mean the compound effect of four forces at once on our minds, lives, and world. I understand, my friends, that modernity, postmodernism, constructivism, there are a whole host of words that people use to define the intellectual ethos of the world we are in. Now, just as everyone has the right, here is my own piece on this. By modernity, I mean the compound effect. Now, which means I understand that the world has gone through each of these four forces, as I will define them, at different times and in different pockets of the planet in the history. But never in history have all four been simultaneously impacting our minds, lives, and world. So let's understand these four forces. One, we live in a world of options and choices, far more than we can handle in a human way. We are in a world where we are overwhelmed by choices. We have choices of such magnitude in such minor things that the human nervous system is almost thrown off key. And that's how it is. And while the subject is a huge one and it has been a point of my own studies, I have been helped a lot by another scholar, US philosopher Barry Schwartz. And he has done this book, The Paradox of Choice, where he argues that more is less. We normally say less is more. Yeah, we know. More is less. He is arguing that more choice and more options do not add up to more or sane or wiser choices. They end up in more confusion, more distractions, more things. So he argues that more is less in this book. And in a good way to understand his thinking is to watch this wonderful TED talk of his. I'm giving the reference here. If you simply write down Barry Schwartz, The Paradox of Choice, that's a TED talk. And I urge you to, in time, hear it and enjoy it. In this, Barry Schwartz points out in great detail the enormous, shall we say, madness of having too much choice about the most minor things of life, from the quality of the milk you have for breakfast to the salad you can have for lunch, to a whole variety of things. He speaks about this proliferation of distraction. So that's the first quality of the modern world, modernity, as I specifically call it. The word modern is a bit different. Yeah. We come to the second, which is speed. We live in a world of speed. Faster seems to be the new mantra of millennials. We realize that everything should be fast. We want our downloads to be fast, uploads to be fast. We want our travel to be fast, reach places. We want fast food. We want everything measured by speed. And this then is the second force. Faster, Business at the Speed of Light is the name of the book by Bill Gates. Faster. And sadly, it has turned into a metaphor for defining human beings as well. So we say about somebody with a grudging admiration that so-and-so is fast, so-and-so is quick on the uptake. We talk like that. And by which we mean that that person is highly intelligent and witty. But if we say about someone that that person is slow, then we mean, yeah, that person has a way to go. It's slow on the uptake. We talk like that. So speed, number two, the second major force that has hit us, right? And you can imagine all four together. So if you just combine these two, you learn something interesting, that options and speed combined make us confused anyway. Too many options coming too fast. So, therefore, too many options. You can see how that confuses. 3, uncertainty. My God. Well, there we go. Just read today's paper. Just read today's news about the steps we are taking as a society and as a people. Need I say more? Uncertainty. We all went to sleep last night thinking that the city and the country won't be working. And today we woke up this morning to find it's called off. No comment. Bas theek hai. How we are dealing with the COVID, how we are dealing with education, how we are dealing with schools in our society, how we are dealing with it is amazing. But it is, as you can see, uncertainty is at the core of it. 4. This one is a surprise. The other 3 you may have heard of before, but this one is something which I have learned from my teachers. Enormous capacity for harm in the hands of one individual. One individual. Friends, never before in the history of the world has it been possible for a single person to mess with, as we say, entire system. I'm not talking about straight violence. I'm not talking about terrorism and all that. All that is there. Let's take a look at this. One hacker can mess with entire country's data and grind to a halt the airways of the world, mess with stock exchange, mess with all sorts of things. One person. What I'm getting at is that the harm can be intellectual, can be financial, can be social, and indeed can be physical as well. For a single suicide bomber can mess with, in a plane, with 280 lives, just like that. Never before in history have we had a world where a single person could hold entire hundreds of people hostage. When I said this or made this point in another conversation at some other time, somebody said, "Sir, just a moment. We are talking about ammunition, but what about Halako Khan and what about Genghis Khan? They were able to kind of take over Central Asia and all that." I said, "Agreed, but that's the whole point. With your spear and arrow, with your sword and horse, with your shield, with your lance, one person could max harm a dozen. It was 1-to-1 equal. That is why they needed large armies. That is why they needed hundreds of people to run through. Today, one person with an explosive can really, really mess with big time. So this is the point I'm making. The issue is not that previously in history, we didn't have huge amount of armies and we know. But I'm making the distinction between a single person's power, should that person want to use it, into doing great harm. Right. Okay. So these are the 4. Modernity is when all 4 of these forces hit our planet and world at the same time. And I'm not even talking about the pandemic. All these forces have been around and gathering momentum since the year 2000, 2005, etc. So I'm not just talking about the pandemic, which is a different kind of medical emergency, but you can see how it hits and how it has made us realize all this. All right, fine. Alignment. Let us have a minute on alignment, because my major topic is the third question. We have a basic need for meaning and stability in our lives. When the flux of our experience doesn't add up to a story, a narrative, the sense of being adrift in a sea of impressions overwhelms us. If the things I do, if my life on Monday doesn't add up, my life on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday doesn't add up to a goal where I'm reaching for, a meaning I'm achieving, and some kind of stability in which things stay put, you can realize that my sensorium, my sensory impressions will be unable to make sense of it, or to be human. It will not allow me to feel human. That's an amazing point. Meaning and stability are two things that we need. Yes, I can have a season, I can have a phase in my life when I don't have these. That I understand. But other than that, I really, so that's my translation of the word alignment. All right. All the great religions offer us precisely these two things. Meaning comes from a narrative of profound beauty, and stability from a web of relationships that connect us to humanity in meaningful ways, the family, the community, and the elders. So I have, indeed, it is true that there are interpretations of religions that cut against this precisely. That's the whole point about modernity, cutting at this. True, that is true. All right, with these two gone, we are out of alignment. Meaning, when meaning and stability are gone, alignment is gone. So we come to our third question. And so I offer you fivefold model of Islam, the third question. So I now come to an answer to the third question. What, how do we define Islam? Well, here is my humble take on this. Imagine 5 concentric circles, one inside the other, and each offering us a total vision. Surprisingly, it is entirely rooted in the teachings of the Quran and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here goes. Our work focuses on an image of 5 concentric circles, and they are Aqaid, Arkan, Islah Batin, Muamalat, and Husn Muashra. We will do this several times, so please bear with me. These are quite simple. I will define these in a moment straight away. Let's take a look at the image first. There, that's Aqaid. Then a circle around it, that's Arkan. The third circle, that's Muamalat, Islah Batin, Islah Batin. A fourth circle, that's Muamalat. And a fifth circle, which is Husn Muashra. Right. So this 5-fold model of Islam, this, to my mind, captures the richness of what our religion is. Let's take a look. Let us define these briefly. Aqaid, very simple, the articles of faith, which are Tawheed, Risalat, Malaika, Kutub, Qiyam. Okay, oneness of God, prophethood, angels, books, and the Day of Judgment. Arkan are the basis of faith, the modes of worship. And again, these are Kalma, Salat, Som, Zakat, and Hajj. Yes, Salat and Namaz. Yes, Som and Roza. Yes, got it. These are, I'm keeping to the Arabic words because they are the Islamic words. Nothing wrong with Namaz and Roza, by the way. Not the issue now. Islah Batin, inner purity. But you see, we have been taught that inner purity is the purpose of these 5 modes of worship. Let's understand. The articles of faith are the foundation, and these are the pillars. That's a very good metaphor. The foundation comes first, the pillars come above it. Now, inner purity then refers to the way in which these are done. And we know in our teachings that in the text of the Quran and in the teachings of the Prophet, all 5 of these have a counter narrative, have a subtext. For example, About the kalma, we are told that we are to say it with meaning in the heart, considering them to be true and meaningful. Okay, that's easy. About salat, about namaz, we are told to offer it with khushu and khuzu, which means with concentration and dedication. Got that. About the fast, we've been told, the Prophet has said, there are many who fast and get nothing out of it except hunger and thirst. There are many who fast but get nothing out of it except hunger and thirst. Meaning, there is an inner purity dimension of the fast, that if your fast does not keep you from the silly, the banal, the irrelevant, the stupid, if it does not stop you from doing that, then your hunger and fast is all you've got. About zakat, the Quran has an amazing sentence: do not waste your charity by reminders of having given it. Wow. अपने सदकात को जता के जाया न करो. Don't give your charity and okay, so you've given charity. Don't lord it over the person you've given it. Ye to Baba, hold it. It wasn't yours in the first place. You too were given it by the giver of all. And if you have given from it, what's the big deal? So, apne sadqat ko, and the word here is charity. Apni charity ko jata ke zaya na karo. And about Hajj, the Prophet said, many get out of Hajj nothing but business. Tijara. They have only done business. They haven't got Allah and His Prophet. They've come for business. So inner purity then is the dynamic that makes the modes of worship worthy. Without them, we are expressly told that they are a fatigue and a tiredness of the spirit. Muamla. Now we know very well that if many people are asked to define Islam, they say huququllah and huququl ibad. Well, that's it. Muamlat is dealings. How are you in your giving and taking? How are you in your borrowing and lending? How are you in your attitudes to money and neighborhood and relationships? How are you as a person who keeps his or her word? How are you in your promises? Muamlat is that. Do you take the person who cannot harm you as seriously as the person who can? That's a good measure. That's a very good measure of our clarity about the worth of a human being. That's muamla. And lastly, husn muashrat. Husn muashrat is beauty of the environment. We have been asked to take care of the planet. We have been asked to consider the water, the air, the fruits. We've been asked to consider them as signs of the Creator. In sabko ayat kaha gaya hai. A bit more on that coming up in a moment. Husn muashrat. We've been told not to destroy a fruit tree needlessly. We've been told, wuzu karte hue pani zaya na karo. You know, when I was doing my, as you grow, you learn upon things. I had come upon this clause of sentence about not wasting water, not using too much water in wuzu. So I remember reading only this part in some quotation, somebody quoted only this one. That don't waste water when you are doing wuzu. It makes it makruh. That is, it is not recommended. And in thinking about it, I said, sahi hai. In the days of the desert, in the deserts of Arabia, water is scarce anyway. So it makes sense not to waste water. And the Prophet would say such a sensible thing. Until I read all of it. The rest of the sentence goes, even if you are at the edge of a river. So now, suddenly that's interesting. It is not that you are not to waste water if it is scarce. You are not to waste water, period. Because water itself is valuable. Water itself is worthy. I mean, kamal ki baat hai. And in an age of a crisis of water, you can see how what a premonition this little sentence is rooted right there in our tradition and in our wisdom. So, husn muashrat then is beauty of the environment. We are to have an environment of flowers and good scents and this nice decorum. We are not to destroy greenery just like that. We are not. We are asked to take care of it. So, husn ma'asharat then. This then is the five-fold model of Islam. Right. So, in the little time I have today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a simple but profound question. Why should the aqaid be so central to the self-definition of Islam? So we've said that the bull's eye, the root of the faith are the five aqaid, Tawheed, Risalat, Malaika, Kutub, Qiyamah. Why should they be so central to the definition of Islam, self-definition of Islam? And by which I mean that this is the way Islam defines itself, regardless of who argues about it. Yani, pehle ye baat please clear ho jaye that in the language of Islam, we are invited to believe in the oneness of Allah, that there are messengers, that there are revelations, books, that there are angels, and that there is a day of judgment. And these are part of the definition, right? Whoever accepts this is one of us, then the philosophy follows and the rationale follows and the understanding follows, inshallah. So I'm now going to connect each of these aqaid to the Tawheed, Risalat, Malaika, Kutub, Qiyamah. I'm going to connect it to the three outer circles, which is Islah Batin, Muamalat, and Husn Ma'ashara. So I'm going to take a look at how the outer three circles are rooted in the Tawheed. In this conversation, Arkan is not part of our conversation for now, because I want to get to the definition. All right. And in order to do so, I will change the design from a circle to a triangle. All right. Please enjoy this. Okay, there's your triangle, and there's the three part, that's Tawheed, and there's Islah Batin, Muamalat, and Husn Ma'ashara. Okay, Islah Batin. My point here is, how does our belief in the oneness of God give us Islah Batin and create justice in Muamalat and give us beauty of the environment? This is how I will answer all five of these. Please bear with me, I'll go a bit fast, but then I'm sure this is being recorded and you'll be able to hear it later. So I begin. The first one. Belief in the oneness of God makes me recognize that there is only one loyalty. And if there is only one to whom I am loyal to, I therefore discover integrity within myself. अशफाक साहब के जुमलों में बड़ी अच्छी एक बात है, जो एक को मानता है वो एक का हो जाता है और वो खुद भी एक बन जाता है. It is beautiful. I discover my own inward integrity when I don't obey different, shall we say, idols. When I obey only one, I achieve integrity within myself. That's Islah Batin, inner purity. About Muamalat, all the other creatures I have been taught are also the creatures of Allah. वो भी अल्लाह के बंदे हैं, वो भी अल्लाह के खादिम हैं, servants. They are also creatures of God. So if I expect justice from Allah, how can I be unjust to my fellow human being, to my neighbor, my colleague, the person on the street? Not possible. So that generates justice in Muamalat. And about Husn Ma'ashara, cosmos, a vast integration. I realize that I'm living in a universe. So my belief in the unity of the Creator teaches me a unity of creation, that it is integrated and interrelated. So just as I need achievement of integrity in my inward world, the outward cosmos is also vastly integrated. We all know this very well. What to speak of the pandemic? One touch and the whole planet is in trouble. That is the kind of unity that is there below the surface. An easy subject, it's easy. Let me quickly move on to, now this is how these five diagrams will come. Risala. How does believing in the prophets create Islah Batin? Well, they were role models. All the prophets actually did according to the commandment of Allah, and therefore I am able to achieve inner purity by saying to myself in a moment of shame and laziness, what's your excuse? The prophets and the messengers did the commandment of Allah under such amazing circumstances. what the heck is our excuse, my excuse? And in that sense, uh, the teachings of the messengers raises me in my own inner integration and purity. All prophets, Muamla, all prophets created a community of believers to whom they taught how to live, how to raise children, how to get married, how to divorce, how to trade, how to deal with each other with justice, fairness, humor, and all that then becomes my learning out of which I'm able to do this. This is the millah. Each prophet has taught us how to deal with each other, apne aur paraye. And about Husn Mashrat, sacred geography, a concept entirely absent in our education system. Each prophet, messenger of Allah, blessed being of Allah, has made a space on earth blessed by having lived upon it. And that is why we have the haram, that is why we have the great spaces, that is why we have Jesus celebrated in Jerusalem, that is why we have the haram, Makkah and Medina, the life of the Prophet, sacred geography. There are sacred spaces and elsewhere as well. Big subject, I cannot possibly deal with it right now, but I've just given it to you as a connection to Husn Mashra. All right. Our third subject is Malaika. There, angels. How does belief in angels generate Islah Batin and Husn Mashrat? Well, belief in angels, if I want to become pure, if I want to become better, I learn that angels are watching. The Kiraman Katabin are watching. The two angels on my shoulders, leave alone the countless other angels around in my environment, they are watching. So if I'm about to do something stupid and clumsy, avoiding human eyes, belief in Malaika teaches me, nevertheless, I'm being watched. And perhaps a good teaching would be, Sudhar jao. You are being watched. Okay. Angels and Surah Safat gives us a nice idea. I swear by the angels standing rank upon rank. The point here is that all the angels know their place. What is it about us that we don't know? We can't be disciplined. We can't be organized. That is, when we are organized, we are okay. But when we are not, Muamla teaches me that. And the beauty of believing in the Malaika is the beauty of the environment. If I have an environment of perfumes and attar and agarbatti and fresh flowers, I have made it easy for the angels to pass through that space. The angels love good scents, and hence that's my service to the environment. Okay. We quickly move on to Kutub, books, belief in books. This will be simple. How do I achieve Islah Batin by believing in books? Well, the books contain the rules for what to do. The books contain the step. No messenger lives forever. So the messenger, the man and the book and the person are two realities by which Allah communicates his program unto us. And by doing so, belief in books then is divine scripture. So the divine scripture tells me what to do in my organizing of my life. And about Muamlat, it's laws. So what personally then would be rules of conduct, laws would be applicable to society. Again, a big subject, but I'm just putting it as a theme there. And Husn Mashra. It is interesting that the word used in the Quran for a sentence in the book, the word ayat, is the same word used for a sign of nature, ayat. It's interesting. Allah Ta'ala says, and in the flowing of the rivers, in the mountains, the valleys, the flowers, in the trees, in the fruit trees, in the date palms and the pomegranates and others. I'm of course combining all of these. All these are signs for people who reflect. So Husn Mashra then refers to the signs of nature as ayat. And just as I would not do knowingly any blasphemy of a page of a Quran written and coming on my feet, and I would take care of it, just so Allah Ta'ala tells us, take care of the signs of nature. They too are speaking a language and worshipping the Creator, and therefore respect, and therefore. So a message for the environment that goes with it. Right. And we now come to the last, which is Qiyamah. How does belief in the last day help me with these three things? Well, Islah Batin is consequence. I believe in the day of judgment, therefore I believe that my evil deeds will have consequences. وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an atom's weight of good shall see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil shall also see it. So my inner purity is achieved when I believe in the day of judgment by knowing that my actions have consequences, if not in this world, certainly in the next world. And that's what the Qiyamah belief is. About Muamlat and the word goat here, it is interesting that in Sahih Muslim, we read a scene on the day of judgment that the Prophet upon whom be peace said, on the day of judgment, if a goat with horns has hit a goat without horns in this world, on the day of judgment, God will give the goat without horns and say, hit it. Yani badla liya jayega. Justice will be so exact. When I read this, I said, oh dear, but animals are not part of the day of judgment. Neither are angels. Qiyamah is only answerable to people with free will. If animals live according to instinct and angels live according to command, they are not unto judgment. Judgment is only for insan and jinnah, ins and jinn. Okay. So what is this goat hadith saying here about this horn and all that? So I asked my teacher and he said, the key word in this hadith is the word if, meaning the justice of Allah on the day of judgment will be so finely calibrated that if it was to reach into the animal kingdom, this would happen. But it won't. It won't happen to goats. It will happen to you for sure. You be careful. You watch out. In your dealings with humanity, in your leen-deen, in your muamalat, in the way in which you have dealt with things, you watch out, for the justice of Allah will be extremely sharp on that day. And you can imagine, knowing that makes you shiver a bit to recognize that you better be just. And finally, chaos. Husn Marshal. We are asked to take care of this planet. We are asked to take care of this planet until the command comes for it to be dissolved. Iza zulzilatil ardu zilzala. When the earth shall shake with a violent shaking. So when that happens, indeed, there is nothing to do. But until then, we are asked to take care of it. And there is a wonderful hadith that goes, if the day of judgment comes and you are in the middle of planting a tree, finish planting it. Wow. We are asked to do something. I mean, what an example. We are asked to serve nature without regard to consequences or causes. As long as it's this planting of a tree as a good thing, go ahead and do it, even if the day of judgment is around you. And chances of the tree growing and giving you fruits and all that are impossible. And this gives us the fivefold model and its richness. Closing remark. Friends, Islam in alignment with modernity makes us think. We have reduced Islam to the inner two circles. Strange. Aqaid and Arkan. We worry too much about Aqaid and Arkan in a limited and limiting meaning. We worried about other people's arkan. We worried about only the 5 ibadat and we've got into that and never considered the other things to be as important. But when we see that Islah Batin, achieving inner purity, and Muamla, justice in dealings with others, and Husn Muashrat, beauty of the environment, are also Islamic duties. When I consider not wasting water as important as being attentive in prayer, when I consider not wasting food as important as feeding the hungry, I mean, when you connect these kind, I realize that my relationship with Islam becomes richer and deeper. And then I realize I'm able to deal with the confusions and the chaos that modernity throws upon me. We will have achieved some meaning and stability in our lives. And this, then, I think the best part is this sentence. And this, we have been saying this sentence all the time. We've been saying this. Islam mukammal zabta hai hayat hai. We say this. But let's enjoy this in an amazing way that pulls together all the five-fold model in one line. Let's take a look. Islam mukammal zabta hayat hai like this. The aqaid impacts on the heart. I believe in Tawheed, Risalat, Malaika, Kutub, Qayamat, and where is the location of that belief? In the heart. So the aqaid impacts on the heart, the innermost part. All right. The arkan. Okay, arkan impact on the limbs. भाई नमाज में हम क़ुऊद और सुजूद और रुकू हाथ पैर जिस्म से आदाब से ही तो करते हैं ना. यानी it's very interesting. A friend of mine put it, रोजा रूहानी इबादत है लेकिन पेट ही भूखा रहता. True. It is the body which keeps hungry, and it is the soul which benefits from the fast. I mean, it's a nice double take on this. All right. Islah batin impacts on the nafs, the self. The nafs. What is it in me that gets angry? What is it in me that loses my temper? That says, but those people didn't treat me well. That says, meri falan jagah had tak ki izzat ho gayi. So and so mistreated me. Or all of those. How do I deal with hirs, lalach, tama, bukhul, greed, extravagance, stinginess? What in me does these things? This is the nafs. Qualities of the nafs, of course, which I need to overcome. Muamalat, as you can see, that impacts on society. That's my dealing. Society, other than me. And husn ma'ashat impacts on earth, the planet. But now we see the mukammal zabta hayat going from the innermost circle of the heart to the outermost circle of the planet. And on that, I thank you and I conclude. Thank you. That's exactly 45. Right, Ji. Over to OCTARA team, please. Thank you. And questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Wasab. It was very nice and thought-provoking session. Yeah. There's a question from Adil Saab is raising hand. Adil Saab, you can type the question in the chat if you want to, so that I can read it out. And anybody who wants to ask questions, they can type their questions in the chat box.
Why can't they unmute and speak up the question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Quicker and easier.
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Adil Saab, can you unmute yourself?
Abbas Husain Saab, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Sir, बहुत मजा आया as usual.
Thank you.
माशाल्लाह. और ये रमजान के दौरान तो highly topical sir.
Thank you, sir.
अच्छा सर, ये अरकान की जो आपने बात की, तो I have issues with my hip and lower back and I've been forced into a chair. तो अब while saying my prayers, तो sir ये I feel a bit guilty about it.
No, please don't feel any guilty. Sir, please, the Prophet put it very well. Ad-Din al-Yusr. The beauty of the deen is ease. At no point, if you have any medical reason at all, does the religion command you to be uncomfortable or it is the intent that works. So, sir, agar intent hai, please don't worry about it. Offer your namaz in your chair, and that's perfect. You're right. It's an agreed upon fatwa by all schools of thought throughout the ages. No issue.
Sir, एक सवाल और, please.
Please.
अच्छा, मैं दरअसल परेशान हो जाता हूँ कभी कभार जब मैं निकलता हूँ मार्केट में and I see these, हट्टा गट्टास, और ऐसा अपने आप को मिस्कीन कर देते हैं कि मुझे एकदम से मेरी झुरझुरी खड़ी होती है कि जी ये कहीं शिर्क, am I being made the subject तो मैं उनको खूब डांटता हूँ, which a lot of people find very distasteful कि यार वो गरीब पैसे मांग रहा है तुम उसे डांट रहे हो. तो वो अपनी आजिजी का इजहार मेरे सामने जब करता है तो am I right in reprimanding them?
Well, if it Adil bhai, I can only say I don't think much benefit is coming from it. They must be saying, who is this? And moving on to the next person. Certainly, it is a lack of intelligence and a lack of education. Certainly, it is a poverty of the spirit that they misbehave towards a human being with an attitude that is unbecoming. ये बात तो मैं आपकी समझ रहा हूँ कि यार मुझसे अगर भीख ही मांगनी है तो इतनी भी तो आजिज़ी न करो जो किसी यानी परवरदिगार के ही लायक हो, कम से कम आदिल से के लायक ना हो. Yes, it's a sad thing, but it is an ignorant thing. Subtle, it's a right.
मैं उनसे कहता हूँ कि ये भीख में अल्लाह ताला बरकत नहीं देगा.
All right.
कोई आड़ कर लो.
Okay.
कोई आड़ कर लो, कोई गाड़ी साफ कर लो.
All right. Adil bhai, let someone else ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
we will
sir.
continue later. Right.
Thank you.
Ji Janab.
Ji, is there any questions? You can type or you can like unmute yourself and ask also.
Yeah, Abbas, a question
Sure.
for you. Not a question, more or less a comment. That of the 5 concentric circles which you have elaborated and made, it made so much of clarification with regards to our faith. The first 2, Aqaid and Arkan, are, like you rightly said, is where we are mostly focused on the Islamic societies. People from Islamic countries are mostly focused on Aqaid and Arkan, and they are perhaps not leading to the other 3 circles. Now,
Exactly.
I've noticed that in Western society, they have focused very much on the third, fourth, and fifth, the Islai Bahat, Muamlat, and Hussain, Husna, and they basically are non-Muslims mostly. You see.
Yeah.
So where has this line been? This division of line. What has happened amongst the Muslims who have taken the first 2, focused on that only, and left the next 3, which is the essence of Islam?
Jamil bhai, you've hit upon the issue precisely. If Islam as a civilization and a culture was the mediating principle on the planet, sadly, we ourselves have gone extreme into the other inner 2 circles and given up the outer 3 circles. Precisely the point that if today the Muslim Ummah is in trouble, what we need to do is to shall we say, discover the importance of the outer 3 circles once again and integrate them in our national and social life. And yes, it is a sad observation. And indeed, other communities who are doing well are doing so, and they are to be applauded for it. And it is a lapse in us, and it is something we need to work on. Agreed. Yeah, this is my answer. That if today the youth of Muslim youth says that why is life in a Muslim country so difficult and life in a Western country so good, the answer is precisely because we say, beta, historically, due to a variety of reasons, we focus on the inner 2 circles to such a degree of obsession that we give up the outer 3 circles as Islamic duties. We consider them as social niceties. And once we do that, it was a loss of balance. True.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a question from Nurul Hada. He's saying that it's been like always refreshing listening to your sessions, Abbasa. His question is that how do we, like, for the youth, how do it is effective manner to educate themselves? How to educate these youth of our?
I think the best time to be young today, 2021, is a wonderful time to be young, because almost every day I sit on the internet and look at the vast resources available free of charge, some of the finest thinkers and their thoughts, some of the finest books in PDF, some of the best lectures on podcasts, some of the finest things made in art and music available on YouTube, that one says to the young people, Wallah, tumhare to maze hain. All you need is direction and vision, and all these goodies are there. To be fair, at the same time, there is a whole lot of schmuck and a whole lot of nonsense that is also there. Yes, we know. But that is why the whole point is that if young people are serious, there is enormously good material that are available. And yes, it's a matter of choice and it's a matter of Furqan, agreed. And that is where you need some role models of people who say, and hasn't it always been an issue that we had the immediate pleasure of watching a Netflix movie and 4 hours gone, and a difficult pleasure of reading 25 minutes of the Quran and doing that para and doing that. These are choices and these are always hard. Agreed. But hai zarur, it is possible. And today it is easy in a way you no other time could have imagined.
Okay. Is there any questions? Okay. There's a question from Sir Arkan is not Quranic word. How can we align with Islam? Arkan is not a Quranic word. How can we align with Islam?
Oh, okay.
Abdul Rahman.
No, it doesn't work like that. Agreed. The word rukun, which means a pillar, and arkan comes from the hadith. Indeed, no, it is not a Quranic word, not the issue. But the fact remains, my friend, if I believe in the oneness of Allah and Risalat, that there are messengers, that which is all mentioned in the Quran, tell me, surely some of my behavior should show these things. Otherwise, all the aqaid will only remain good thoughts in the head. They will only remain, in my own language, gulab jamun of the brain. They will only remain nice thoughts in the head. Yeah, it's very nice. God is one. Yeah, there are all these messengers, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, Rasulullah. Yeah. But if I don't actually do anything in practice, what is it? So you will find to your no surprise at all, Aqimus salat wa atuz zakat is the consistent message of all messengers throughout the language of the Quran, mentioned 65 times, if I'm not mistaken. So we have namaz and zakat right there. We have the commandments of Hajj right there. We have the kalma, which is the entry to the faith. So you see, when a system becomes organized as a civilization and as a marker of identity, you then have these things. So, oh yes, it's a matter of definition, but that it is not part of our tradition is not an issue. All of them are part of, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any more questions?
Hello. I hope I'm audible. Am I?
Yeah.
I'm traveling right now, so I hope that the signals are fine here. So basically, thank you so much for answering the previous question. Basically, I typed it down in the chat box as well. The problem that I am trying to focus on is that most of the people are interested in topics which are too big for themselves. And how do we bring people back, or how do we actually raise this awareness in a consistent manner that we must focus on the basics and not jump into topics which we cannot handle without the basic knowledge?
I understand.
Because the information is there, all of it.
Yeah.
But filtering it out,
Thank you, Noor. I understand this. This is also one of the features of the age we are in. We learn by life and experience that finally, what we are capable of doing is what leaves out from my hand. I can regret the miseducation of 35 or 2.5 million children, but I can only actually educate the 30 children in my classroom. When I do the 30 children in my classroom, I've created a space for those 30 to then continue to. So, agreed. I believe that this is also an intellectual way, a style of not doing anything at all. It's actually a signal of laziness. To claim that you are worried about the hungry millions of Pakistan and not actually give out the food to the 5 people you can, who work in your own house, who are hungry, is not to then actually worry about hunger, but use it as an excuse to not do anything. So yeah, we know in the real world, people who have done any good thing, you look at their lives and you find that they began from their own immediate family. They began from the circle of influence. Only then did the circle of influence enlarge, that it became part of the circle of concern. So it became larger. So there is no other way, कोई shortcut नहीं है. But yes, such people are actually fooling, not if not anyone else, they are fooling themselves. कि जी मुझे बड़ी फिक्र है, पूरा शहर कराची में इतनी गंद है. अरे भाई तुम्हारे घर के आगे जो गंद है वो क्यों नहीं साफ हो रही? नहीं ना, जमादार नहीं आया ना 2 दिन से. Okay, then don't talk about the gand in the whole of the city. अपने घर की गली साफ कर ले भाई, बहुत काफी है. That's good enough. So that's the thing. Thank you.
Okay. Can I just request everybody to like memorize this session so we can take a picture first, and then we'll share the whatever we have towards the end of the session. That is a book which we are going to present it to you. So I would request everybody to like open their windows, video screens. And I would request Sarem, our colleague, to click a picture for this.
Sure.
Thank you, Sarem. Just let us know that you are done. Sure, Abdul Rahman will send you the recording. It will be available on our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I would like to share, as we promised towards the starting of the session, that we are going to present a book to you. This is the name of the book, Vision of Islam by Sachiko Murata and William Chittick. This is a link of the book. I will share in the chat with you all. And now I would like to give you the sessions, the second and the third session, dates and details. So the second session is on the Thursday, which is on 22nd of April, which is about the Quran. What is it and what is in it? And then we have another session on the next Thursday, which is 29th, which is spirituality in three traditions. If you want to like register for anything, for any details, there's a detail given below of our colleague Sare Matik, so you can contact him for these. I'm just sharing the chat with the link with you guys. And now I request our CEO Jamil Janjua to add some words to this session. JJ.
I think we've already more or less got this webinar for 1 hour. So we are at the end of this 1 hour. All I can say is, to thank Abbas Husain Saab for this 1 hour of, illuminating our minds to the other three concentric circles, which are the real important ones, the way I see it.
Correct.
And I want to also thank you for always joining us during these during this month of Ramzan for many years, joining with OCTARA to do a presentation on topical subjects which relate to Islam. I recall that we did the first one, money and the meaning of life, many years back.
Yeah.
So I think we should do that all over again. But thank you very much for your time. And I would also like to thank all the participants who have also been with us on this last 1 hour. And I'd like to thank the OCTARA team for bringing this together and delivering it in good style. Thank you very much, everybody. And once again, Abbas, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Abbas. Thank you, all the participants and my team.